Hi, my name is Chris Yukins. I'm a professor of government procurement law at George Washington University Law School. Just want to take a few minutes to introduce myself for the SERC-AIRC Research Council meeting in November 2024 in Washington, D.C. I apologize I can't be there in person. I'm in Europe in university meetings, but I was hoping to take a few minutes of your time just to introduce myself and some of the work we've been doing with ERIC. I'm the Lynn David Research Professor of Government Procurement Law at GW Law School, and the Government Procurement Law program there. The program started in 1960, so I'm in the second generation of professors at the Government Procurement Law program there. Our program over the last few decades has really evolved into a world leader in government procurement law, and we're regularly working, as I am this week, regularly cooperating with our colleagues around the world. I wanted to just quickly review with you some of the ERIC projects I've worked with as co-principal investigator. The first two are ones that I worked on with David Drabkin, who was the former senior procurement executive at GSA. And the third, the flexibility study I'll be talking about, is one that David and I are about to embark on. The first project had to do with DoD bid protests. This was a congressionally mandated study. And the study concluded that yes, while DoD bid protests serve an important competitive role, they assure bidders that they will be treated fairly, so that the vendors will return to future procurements. That's a well understood part of DoD bid protests. But we also looked at more closely a second purpose about whether or not DoD bid protests, the bid protest process itself, can serve as a red flag for management failures, and that's going to become more and more important as the procurement systems become more transparent through open data initiatives. So I think we were quite pleased with the outcome of this study. By the way, we'll be doing a three-part series for the Open Contracting Partnership on open data in procurement over the summer to see what's going on globally. The second study had to do with mandatory debarment for contractors. Again, this was a congressionally called for study. It was on mandatory debarment for violations of certain types of labor laws, the Fair Labor Standards Act. And the study concluded we really were using this as a case study for mandatory exclusion. And what we concluded was that if you make FLSA violations, these types of labor law violations, a mandatory ground for excluding contractors, it could have a devastating impact on the defense industrial base. You could be knocking out a significant portion of the defense industrial base, and you really wouldn't know in advance who would be knocked out. And so not only was it useful for purposes of this particular question, the labor law violations, but more broadly, it's made us rethink the way that we approach responsibility and exclusion across the board. For example, in green procurement, green public procurement, should we excluding those contractors that don't compile the greenhouse gas emissions? How will that affect the supply chain? What's pending is a study on flexibilities for procurement of innovation under the financial management regulation. David and I are just starting on that project. And we'll also have pending, I'm working with the NATO Diana unit, which is headquartered in London. The Diana unit is a unit that's tasked with spurring the development of dual-use technologies on a cooperative basis among the alliance members. And we'll be working with them, talking about, from our perspective particularly, how that can be accommodated within existing legal structures, both across the European Union and in the United States. So working on how can we make the regulatory structure more amenable to the development of dual-use technologies. So that's a quick summary of what we're working on. Thank you very much for your patience. Again, I hope I can join you virtually, and please feel free to follow up with any questions you may have. Thanks again.